Good morning. Welcome to Stooky's BBQ, as I call it, Stooky's on the Susquehanna. We've been here a long time. A lot of people know about us, generations. Started in 1926 by my grandfather and grandmother, Ralph and Margaret Stookey, who eventually moved in and started a family here and lived here until their daughters took over, my mom Shirley and my aunt Jean. And then eventually, as they retired, my mom and father ran it, and then it fell to me, the oldest son at the time. I've been running it since '98, I believe, thereabouts, and we're still here. And as old and funky as this place is, we try to keep it user-friendly, so to speak. We try to keep it customer relaxing. We try to keep it good products, good value. So here at Stooky's, we're located in the south end of Wyoming Valley on Route 11 in West Nanticoke, a town I grew up in. As you can see right now, we're in our dining room. Seats about 40 people, and our business is both takeout and eat in. We produce all our stuff in-house. This is our walk-in cooler. It's our main cooler for storage, where we bring our cooked and sliced product, packaged product in here for storage until we bring it out to sell. The variety of products that are in here. Right here are cooked ribs, pork ribs. This is bottom round flat beef down here. And as we walk around, you'll see some of the others. The main product that we sell, obviously I said before, is the bone rolled and tied fresh ham, which is pork. Pork products sell way more than all the rest. They carry the business. Down here, there's some of the hams and other pork products we use to make the pulled pork or to make the brisket. We use beef for the brisket. And from here we'll go and we'll show you how we make all this product. So we're in the processing room. This is where we process all the fully cooked applewood smoked products after they've been chilled down in our walk-in cooler. One of the main processes, slicing the pork, beef, ham, and turkey paper thin so our family recipe sauce can bring it up to temperature when we make the sandwiches. The sandwiches we get to make in about 90 seconds, but it takes 8 hours to cook the pork. It takes many hours to cook the beef and the ribs and the brisket, etc. We do other processing here. We vacuum pack some of the stuff for takeout products. Our manager here, Chris, is turned into a master cook and a very competent man I can depend on. And I tell you, I have to depend on my people to make this stuff as good as it is. So here we are in what I like to think of as the heart of the operation. This is where we cook the meat, we applewood smoke the meat, and we can do up to 1,000 pounds at a time in this. Essentially is a convection oven. Hot air is circulated around. Part of the process is, as I said, applewood smoking. It's done with this part of the unit. Applewood. We're able to use 100% applewood, and it's controlled in the amount that goes in there. The whole cooking process is controlled by microprocessor. Time, temperature, humidity, amount of smoke, cool down, all controlled for every product. So we're about to show what's inside the oven today, which I believe is pork. It'll do 1,000 pounds at a time, as I mentioned. We're going to open it up and see how it goes. Ready? Turns out it's pork and turkey today, and chicken. Chicken being in the front, pork's in the back. That for us is about a medium-sized cook.
I'm here with Ralph Frank, owner of Stooky's Famous Barbecue. Talk to me about your background.
Well, good morning. I was essentially born here. I mean, obviously at a hospital, but I was raised and lived in this building for the first 3 years of my life. And then eventually my grandfather built a house for my mom and my father up here on the hill, and we moved into that. But I was raised here, and always have been around the barbecue growing up. I did a lot of, as a teenager, my grandfather put me to work here, cooking the meat outside, slicing the meat on old slicers back in the back. And as I got older and older, a quick story on cutting the meat. Coke used to come in wooden crates. And when I was 13, 14, 15, I was shorter, and they used to stack the crates up so I could slice the meat on the slicers. And as I grew up, they would take a crate off until I was tall enough to cut the meat on my own. And that's how I learned the business. That's how I learned the basic idea of smoking meats and cooking meats. My family always ran it. My grandfather and grandmother started it in 26. And then they had 2 daughters, and they took it over after my grandparents passed away. Growing up, once I got out of high school, I did a fair amount of traveling, spent up a lot of time on the West Coast, and various jobs. Didn't ever think I was going to be back here, and that it would fall to me to be running the barbecue. I married and moved to Alaska in '80, and lived up there for 5 years, in which time my wife and I at that time had a son. And moved back here in '85. Unfortunately, we divorced, but since '85, I've pretty much been back here. And being the oldest in the family growing up, it did fall to me to take over the barbecue. My mom and dad ran it from '79 to about '90. My dad passed away, and then my mom ran it, and then she retired, and I took it over '92, I believe, and started to expand the business. I still had energy then, and was trying to grow some stuff, which we did.
So as we record this interview right now, we're talking again during the hours of operation here at Stooky. So again, it seems like people are coming in and out often. Talk about some of your earliest memories from working here when you were, I guess, a teenager.
Well, I started as a teenager, and some of the earliest memories, one of the earliest I ever had was of my grandfather. He was still alive then, standing in the far window, and he sent me out to pick up the trash out of the parking lot. As a 13-year-old or whatever it was, I thought this was kind of, like, what am I doing? But I looked back, and my grandfather standing in the window with his arms crossed, sternly looking at me, and that has stuck in my head over the years, But some of the other ones, as I mentioned, slicing the meat, because there were always other teenager boys, slicing the meat and we had a good time. There was always a very family-oriented atmosphere here, a good mixture of older and younger employees. So there was a lot of banter. I have one story where I was slicing meat, and I yelled out to one of the young women that was making the barbecues, and I said, "Can I get a ham barbecue?" And she said, "Okay." And she came back and stuck the ham barbecue in my ear. Just because that's sort of what they did back then. No, we had a lot of fun over the years. And I did get away from it. As I said, I moved to California for a while and had many different jobs. Worked in airlines, both in Oakland and in San Francisco. My dad was a pilot coming out of World War II. He was a commercial pilot. So as a family, we traveled a lot. I remember the prop planes and eating steak on the planes and tablecloths and real silverware, etc. But as I grew up and things changed in the family, and the family ended up moving back here from California, it became more and more apparent, being the oldest, and the things that I did, other jobs, this was going to be where I was. And finally, it just obviously fell to me to take over the barbecue. My mom and I ran it until she retired. As I said, I built an addition to it to where we do our production and smoke our meats. and process them. And I think it's been since '98 that I have run the barbecue. You know, we built the addition in 2002, and boy, time flies.
So you've mentioned you've had a number of jobs leading up to this moment. So at what point did you realize that you wanted to take over the family business?
That's an interesting turn of phrase, wanting to take over the family business. I don't think that ever struck me as a desire of mine. It sort of fell to me. But after running it for a number of years and assuming the various responsibilities of a restaurant, food production, marketing our stuff, it appealed to me more and more. I realized I had more control over the business life than I ever really understood. And that made more sense to me. Certainly after about half dozen years, I realized this is it. This is I should be doing this, you know, I should get better at it. And that sort of has grown on me over the years.
Can you talk about how the restaurant's evolved since, again, when you watched it when you were growing up to today?
One of the running tongue-in-cheek jokes that we have here at Stookey's, and this is going to kill us, I know, customers come in and say it tastes just like it did back in the 50s, just like it did back in the 60s, but it doesn't. Back then, we had a pit outside, barbecue pit in the ground where we used to cook the meats. And I used to go out there and you had to build a fire like a Cub Scout, you know, in the morning and tend the fire. And we used whatever woods we could get. And we'd throw logs on the fire. And so if it was apple wood, that's great. Or cherry wood, it was great. But it was just as likely it was pine or oak, you know, or poplar, whatever was around from the local farmers and stuff. We could get it. The pork back then, the fresh hams, were much different. They were much larger than they are today. They had a big rind of fat on them, which completely changes the protein flavor, the flavor profile. And as we cooked them with the different woods, there's a different flavor. We brought them in. The protein was different to begin with. They were fed differently, etc. We took the fat off and sliced them, and we made the barbecues. We would put on the sweet pickle relish, but the bowl of relish that we used, we would dump a bottle of Heinz ketchup in it and mix that in every day. And we would salt every barbecue, none of which we do today. Today, it's much more controlled, as we've seen. It's all apple wood. The cooking is controlled. The flavor profile is much more consistent. But the product itself, the fresh product has changed. The vegetables have changed. Some of the peppers that we use in our sauces have changed. So it's that sort of tongue-in-cheek joke that, oh yeah, they taste just like they did. Well, I know they didn't.
Something you mentioned in the answer about the process was the word applewood. Talk about, so when did the transition go from, I guess, starting to use applewood here?
It was always desirable, but as I mentioned, the availability was tough to get consistent availability. When I built the production plant that we have currently in 2002, the facility and the equipment in it enables us to use all kinds of wood. It's, as we've shown in some of the other segments, it's a hopper that you can put whatever wood in, drops on the burner, creates the smoke. I've actually used, we use applewood exclusively now, but I've used cherry, hickory, I've used, trying to think what else. I've used oak from wine barrels, ground up to get that, and I've done some gourmet cooking and smoking with that. But over the years, this is the business that we have, and applewood is the staple. But that, from about 2002 on, once we built that and were able to control how we did it and get the applewood all the time, it's been since then.
What would you say are the most popular dishes at the restaurant?
Pork barbecue. We sell 100 pork barbecues to 4 turkey, 2 beef, maybe a half a dozen ham. It carries the restaurant completely. And it's a little different product than pork barbecue throughout the nation. Down south, they have a vinegar-based barbecue sauce in some of the states, but they use mustard. We don't do that. Our vinegar-based barbecue sauce, while proprietary, it has peppers, garlic, vinegar, etc. And it's not like a red sauce. People will come in from various places and say, can I have a barbecue? And they'll look at it and they go, where's the sauce? Because it's a thin water vinegar-based sauce, so it doesn't show. But once they taste it, the bite is there, the flavor is there. The flavor profile is more of a complete thing. The sauce matches very well with the applewood production that we do.
So as we're seated at the restaurant, you can look on the walls, and the restaurant's received a number of awards. What does that mean to you that Stookey's has been recognized by local outlets about what the product you've been putting out?
Well, in the 97 years we've been here, obviously the biggest reward is the fact that people keep coming back. We still do a profitable business. We're still a community appreciated local business. But to get awards, say from the local papers where they run contests, to get awards from the state, which we've gotten over the years, it's always heartwarming and appreciated that the recognition is there.
What's been your favorite part about owning the restaurant?
That has changed over the years. I mean, much younger, back in 2002, 2010, I was a younger man, and profitability was very appealing. I tried to grow the business, which we did to a degree, but it's changed now to where it's service. It's service to the community, excuse me, service to the people, service to my employees. The employees, I've had all kinds of people work for us, and that's meant the most.
Final question for you, Ralph. So what hopes do you have for the future of Stookey's Famous Barbecue?
For you to buy it and keep Stooky's Barbecue running. I would love to, being 74 years old, and I don't have anybody to leave it to. So the options are limited. Someone who wants to run Stooky's, that would be my hope. And I'm sure I'm going to be, well, it's hard to say the future, but I hope to be here until we turn 100. It's not that far off, three more years. But beyond that, it's hard to say. I'd like to see it continue to be a funky little roadside stand that serves people.
Ralph Frank, owner of Stookey's Famous Barbecue, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So what we have here today is one of our veteran employees of many years, I might add, making our signature sandwiches. We have pork, beef, ham, and turkey. The primary barbecue that we sell way more than the others is a pork barbecue. It supports the business by far. Sandy is bringing the meat up to temperature. We use our family recipe sauce to do this, which is always on a rolling boil on the burners. And we toast a bun, which she has done. She heats the meat. In this case, she's heating ham for the ham barbecue. And at this point, she starts building the sandwiches, which she's a master at, I might add. She builds piece by piece, adding whatever protein is involved, pork, beef, ham, or turkey. And this is the way we've done this since the beginning of Stooky's Barbecue. I think one of the major innovations that we've incorporated are tongs. That only took about 30 years for us to get around to that. She adds a sweet pickle relish, which goes on every barbecue unless the customer asks for a plain barbecue. It's wrapped up and it's kept warm under heat lamps. until the order goes out. We have an order this morning, a fairly large order, so we started to get this together now. As she puts this together, as you'll see, the meat's sliced paper thin, and that allows it to come up to temperature, serving temperature, using the boiling sauce. And the reason we do this, it's all prepared in our production plant where we cook and smoke all our protein products. And then they're able to bring out here, and it's put together what looks like fast food. It actually has taken a long time, sometimes 8 or 9 hours of applewood smoking, depending on the product. It's something that's been tried and true, and actually, in all honesty, this is the best barbecues we've ever made. So here we are in a more traditional kitchen, which you see in a lot of restaurants, burners, ovens, things like that. In this kitchen, we reheat once again the stuff that we've already cooked with applewood. In this case, it's going to be ribs and chicken coming out of the oven, which we bring it up to temperature. And we also do our homemade chili here and some homemade soups. This morning, Bobby's going to help us do this, and we're going to get to it right now. So this comes out, as I say, we bring it up to temperature, and we add a little fluid to it, and you can see these have already been applewood smoked, fully cooked. This will be part of our combo dinners, which we put ribs and a chicken breast in, or our chicken dinner, which says chicken in addition to a potato salad, baked beans, coleslaw. She'll be pulling out now the ribs. In a similar fashion, once again, bring it up to temperature, and that temperature is 165 degrees for meat. These are pork spare ribs, applewood smoked. The ribs that we do, we combine with the chicken for combo dinners, or we sell them by themselves. Anything's fully cooked here, so we even sell them cold by the pound. You can take it home and reheat it yourself.